Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. Today I am so excited to be participating in the Latina Next Door's Look for Less Challenge. I am going to be scrolling up on the screen the story sticks or the art sticks that I'm going to be creating for today's challenge. Be on the lookout for part 2 of this video probably early next week. And here at the Artful Home website, I found these story sticks, and this is what my dupe is going to be of today. When you look at them, you can see that they have a variety of colors, and they have added some circles and almost coral looking things for interest. Scrolling down, you can see that the price is quite pricey and even on sale. Just under $800 for 8 of them, or a little bit over $100 for one. I'm going to be doing just one of these story sticks or journey sticks today, and I will be doing at least 4 more in a later video. Please check the description box below. I will put a link to that. There also is a link to Yami's channel, the Latina Next Door, and she has some fantastic videos if you'd like to check them out. As well as there's a link to the rest of this playlist, and you can see what our other creators have come up with as far as their look for less. So without further ado, I am going to be working with my Leave Nothing Behind collection from Creative Memories. There's also a link to my website below. I really loved the idea of using our designer paper pack with the textures on it for these journey sticks because I really felt like they would give just a lot of pop and color to them. But I also found that I needed to supplement a little bit with some of the regular designer pages as well. So here are the sheets I'm going to be working with. I've picked this canyon looking sheet that just reminds me of our trip to the Grand Canyon. And I thought that would make a really fun journey idea for my story stick. And then I have a piece of our Starry Night shimmer paper. I have, some of our bronze shimmer. I have several of our mats from the Leave Nothing Behind collection. One of them has like a topography map look to it. This one, they just all have some interesting textures. This one is a scrap I'd used for another project. And then I have a piece of our gray wood look shiplappy type paper that was left over from my high-end picture dupe, my Always and Forever picture. This is from our Seaside collection. And then I also have, from our Leave Nothing Behind collection, this just aqua topography look as well that looked like the river kind of going through the canyon. And then finally I picked this tree section of the wood look. So just to give some different textures and colors, I think these all will look really great together, and we'll see how it comes together. I went to Lowe's and I picked up some of these 21-inch ruler sticks. These are like a 5-gallon paint stick. This is my main part of what I'm going to use for my story stick. It was, I think, maybe 87 cents for the 3-pack of these. So very reasonable compared to the $120 that they're charging for one of these on the website. Or I guess it's $102 on sale right now, but hey. For 87 cents versus $100 is something. And then, of course, the paper packs are $10. And we're going to make quite a few of these coming up. And so my $10 is going to stretch into several of these. And I believe it was $600 or $800 for more than one of these. They were over $100 a stick. So let's get cutting. I'm going to grab out my 12-inch trimmer. And we are going to, so I figured out this is roughly about 1.5 inches. Well, it's a little bit actually over 2 inches for the width of the stick. These sticks are roughly They start out 21 inches by 1.5 inches by 1/4 inch. And then I've taken it on a saw and cut it down. So it's going to be roughly about 17 inches to work with for our papers. And so I figured out to wrap it around, it's about 3¼ inches. So I'm going to go ahead and start by cutting 3¼ inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut strips at different widths. And I think, I'm wondering if I want to get more of the cross section here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut my paper in half first at 6 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it and cut it this way at the 3¼ so that way I get more of that cross section, more of the actual texture of the paper. Sorry about that. I had to flip it so I actually do get more of the cross section. It is what it is. I'm still not quite 100%, but doing much better than what I have in the last couple weeks. If y'all have been watching my videos and bearing with my voice, I appreciate you sticking with me. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, I think, at 8 inches. Maybe let's do 9. So we're just going to take this little end bit off. So right now I've at 3¼ and then I turned it, I took 3 inches off. And I want 1.5 inches and a 1/2 inch piece of my brown paper here. So maybe I should have taken off a little bit more because I did want more of this inner part. So let's see, we basically need 2 inches of this. So that's going to be here. So I'm going to cut here. Wherever that is. What am I taking off? Well, I'm back to about 7 inches on this end here. So I've taken off, what did I say first? 3, and then another 2. So I've taken off 5 inches from the end of the sheet. And now I'm going to do my 1/2 inch first using the cutting guide on my right side here. And then I'm going to do 1.5 inches. And there we go. So even though it's going to kind of be a little more to the side, it's actually going to wind up folding under. So I didn't quite plan that as well as I'd hoped. That's okay. If you use the same sheets, you can learn from my mistake and it'll be okay. I'm going to make this work. Next, for my blue sheet, we're going to go ahead and do the 3¼ We'll see how this works out. Like I said, I'm not quite 100% yet, but I am doing so much better than I was. So 3¼ by 12 inches, and I can tell I didn't quite get through the whole sheet there. And now we're going to do a 2-inch piece, 1.5 inches, a 4-inch piece. So we're going to have more sections of the blue. So let's do our 2-inch piece first. And then 1.5 inches. And I kind of basing this off my measurements of what I was projecting the stick to come out. And we might need to trim a little at the end. We'll figure that out when we get there. I need a 4-inch piece as well of the blue. So we've done already 1.5 inches. We've done a 2-inch, and now we're doing our 4-inch piece. And then I'm going to take this piece that reminded me of the Grand Canyon. I'm kind of calling it a terracotta color. We're going to do our 3¼ inches piece of that first as well. And then we're going to go ahead and turn this one 90 degrees as well. And we're going to cut this one at 2 inches. And then at 3 inches. So 3 inches for our second cut. And then our third cut is going to be at 2.5 inches. There we go. So that is all the cutting of our main pieces, and we will be doing a little bit more cutting later of our accent pieces. But first, I want to go ahead and work on my stick a little bit and get that ready to go and put some of my pieces on, so then we can figure out which accent pieces we want to put on. Because I have some of my punches ready to go and I have my custom cutting system ready to go. And we will be ready to wrap this around our sticks. I'm going to set these somewhere that I don't lose them, hopefully. Up here, I'm going to add my handy dandy box because we know how messy it gets when we're gluing things. I have a piece of sandpaper. I have some cutters. And I want to rough up just the inside of this one just a little bit, because on some of the pictures you can see where they are, and we're going to be covering this up later. And I'm just taking a pair of wire cutters, and these are just going right through my wood. And I also have a little piece of sandpaper. I'm taking just a couple of little chips out of this one end here. I'm going to sand that down. I'm going to sand down this other, and I'm going to leave this one straight because on one of them it looks like just one end is done. And so again, just using the wire cutters, taking that little bit out with the sandpaper to smooth it out after, because some of the sticks in the picture did look like they kind of were just that little bit chewed up, because I bought several packs of the sticks and then just the one brush. And then I also did need to buy a thing of the Arlene's tacky glue, which of course is one of the main crafting glues. But I just want to get a feel for where I want to place these on the sticks. It seems like alternating is the way to go, and then we'll be adding some other parts to this as well. There's that. Okay, so this does look like it's going to cover our length of our stick. Just going to go ahead and wrap the whole thing around, and then we'll trim it out with our scissors a little bit later. I think it's okay if it's not exactly straight, but I'm going to try to get it as straight as I can. But you can see where the 3 1/4 inch is just about perfect for wrapping it around nice and tight. And we have just that little gap there because I didn't necessarily want the paper to overlap on the back side of the stick. Okay, so here's the stick as it's done so far. I am going to go ahead and trim off the angled piece of this blue. And I also am going to do, I realized I missed another 1.5 inches of the brown wood sheet, but I think I only need about a 1/2 inch at this end to cover up this bottom. So I'm going to put one other piece, and I might overlap this other one just a little bit. All of the other ones I've kind of lined up just at the seams, and we'll be adding some accent pieces so that way you don't see the seams quite as much once we're going with it. And here I'll just take one of these extra pieces that I had, and we'll just put it in at 1 inch because our cutter does do 1 inch on either side of the blade. Here we go. So that's our inch right there. Let's finish this off. And then I'm going to grab my micro tip scissors. What else would I grab? So many of you that have watched my videos before know my love for the micro tip scissors. They will cut through just about anything so nicely and cleanly, and they have a really special surface on them where they don't get tacky, so I can cut through probably the glue even while it's still a little bit wet, but I cut through all kinds of tape runner with them all the time, and they cut just as nicely as the first day I've had them. So I'm going to start on this other end and find where my angle is and just go ahead and give it a little trim here. And I don't mind that that's a little bit roughed up because, like I said, we have some accent pieces we're going to be adding. This end was my roughed up end, so I do need to try to find my pieces that I took the time to cut out with the pliers. Here we go. And I'm just going to follow that with my scissors and kind of pull on the paper a little bit, and it'll be okay. Making and I don't mind, again, if the end looks a little bit more rustic and chewed up a bit, because that's partially why I did pick the wood look for the end of here, just to kind of add a little bit more of an accent to this. And we could even take our scissors and rough up our paper even a little bit more if we wanted to, just give it a little bit of a kind of a used, more worn look to the end, like our journey was a little bit of a rough one here. Not that it was. When we went to the Grand Canyon, it was quite pleasant, but you know. So there we go. I left that one end a little bit more chewed up looking almost, and this one has just a little bit also, but that's okay. I kind of want it to have just that little bit of a edginess to it as well, especially since we're working on art here. Give this the bronze shimmer a try. I think that was my first choice and might wind up being the one we wind up with. Here we go. Yes, I like that. The bronze shimmer looks really nice on there. I really am not sure about the blue or the gray coloring on that, but you might see those on one of the other sticks I put together later in a different video. I am also going to go ahead and cut a couple of circles using my green blade, my custom cutting system circles, and this is the second largest circle. And then I'm also going to take this edge of this canyon again off of this mat here, and I just think it'll also bring out some of the other pieces that we're accentuating here. Okay, I need to grab my scissors for this one. I didn't quite get all the way through because I was rushing a little bit. And that's one of the nice things about working with papers. You can always use your scissors. I've also pulled my Chevron Arrows Border Maker cartridge and my circle chain. I liked the idea of the arrows maybe even going up one end of this, and I think I'm going to pull that one out. On the back side of our wood sheet, we have this other like almost pine bark looking page, and so I'm going to punch that one, and I'm going to use our Border Maker system. You pull out the bottom tray from underneath, you get your paper lined up, you use the magnet in the top part to hold your paper in place, and then you line up your notches both on your punch and on your holder to punch your page. And I'm going to get this done real quick. And I just think that this is pretty cool. I think it's going to look really interesting on our journey stick here. I'm going to cut it. So we're going to cut it just a little bit beyond the 1/4 of an inch on our trimmer. The 1/8 of an inch is this second cutting lane. The 1/4 of an inch is at the very end, and then your 1/2 inch starts over where your grid lines begin. So we're going to kind of go in between where those are to cut so we get a more even cut on here. Let me get this lined up in between here and just give it a quick cut. And then I'm going to cut it down to, I think, 3 inches here. Let me grab my scissors. And we're going to go right in between here. So this is, okay, yes, right at 3 inches. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do it on the trimmer because it looks like 3 inches lines up just right, and that will line up nicely on our one piece. Actually, it's a little bit beyond 3 inches. It's about 3 1/8. We are going to place this picture on here like so. I think maybe we're going to put our arrows heading downward a little bit over through this other piece here, and then where did I put my hexagon? Here we are. I might put my hexagon on my topography piece, and then, or maybe I'll just do the hexagon. Okay, let me grab my tape runners, or you can use the Arlene's glue again. And we're just going to go ahead and get these placed on our stick because this is going to tell our story. I'm using my repositionable tape on my arrows. And you can put your arrows going up or your arrows going down to point at the picture. Whoops. Hang on, this is why I used repositionable tape. Get that straight. And then we're going to get this one down here. And you kind of don't want it centered. You want it a little bit offset. So let's go ahead and get our hexagon on. And I'm not going to put that on straight per se either. And I think if you want, you can get some of your pieces from punching your arrow, and I think I might stick some of these down as well. You can put it with the brown wood side up or the side we used up on this other end of the stick. I'm going to go ahead and grab my punching mat, so then that way we can place a couple of these little pieces on just to add a little bit of extra accent and definition to our journey stick or story stick. I'm using my repositionable tape, and this is a silicone coated mat, so we're not going to have anything sticking. So here's another one of these arrows. I think I'm going to place these facing each other. Or actually, I think I'm going to change this and put them going in, kind of like the corbels are on the other piece, in towards each other. Let me see if I can actually get this straightened out a little bit. There we go. And then maybe one of these down here as well, using the lighter side. And just to give it some extra interest and texture to it. The paper itself adds a dimension, but adding these extra little pieces also add dimension. And then we also do have some stickers as well from this collection if you want to add. I thought about maybe doing a pine cone or two, but I actually think this is fitting for, you know, a journey to the Grand Canyon. It just kind of tells a story. And that's what it's supposed to be, a story stick, even though it's the dupe. It has a little bit more to it maybe. If you want a smaller circle, you can always get your small custom cutting system circle and use that as well. I like this larger one, just reiterating our story. And you can look at the pictures of the art that I found, the story sticks. I found a copy. There it is, side by side. On the left, $120. My version on the right for less than $20. And I think this would be really kind of cool looking on a wall. So I will try to get this hung with the other ones I'm getting ready to do. And you can check that out in the part 2 video. Until next time.